The transition from footballer to philosopher is something we are not very familiar with, but while Albert Camus was studying in Algeria, he was the goalkeeper for the university football team. However, when he contracted tuberculosis, he had to give up football. Albert Camus' football career influenced his way of thinking, and he said, "Everything I know about ethics, I owe to football, because the ball never came from where I expected it to." He's also quite handsome compared to the average philosopher. I definitely need to mention this, but what makes him special is not that he is handsome, but his ideas. Like every philosopher, Albert Camus grappled with the problem of the meaning of life, but could not find an answer. He, like other philosophers, believed that life had no specific meaning. He defined people's passion for giving meaning to life as absurd. Do you know why? Because they were trying to give meaning to a world that was essentially meaningless. Camus said to those obsessed with the search for meaning, "As long as you continue to search for the meaning of life, you will never live." He even likens this search for meaning to the story of King Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a very sinful king. The gods, realizing this, decided to punish him. They gave Sisyphus a huge boulder and ordered him to roll it up to the top of the mountain. Sisyphus could not do this. He failed every time. No matter how hard he tried, he could never do it. Albert Camus likened this situation to man's search for meaning, meaning that no matter how strong and stubborn King Sisyphus was, he could not push that rock to the top of the mountain. No matter how intelligent a person is, they cannot discover that life has a predetermined meaning. Camus does not see suicide as a way out. He says we must accept life, choose our own path, and create meaning for ourselves. So what should be done in this situation? The meaninglessness of life greatly undermines the motivation to live. All the dreams built, the pain endured, the human relationships, were they all for nothing? Then what is the difference between dying and living? Or is suicide the solution? That is why he would advise us to imagine Sisyphus happy, because when humans confront meaninglessness, they become free. Albert Camus is the philosopher who gave the greatest emphasis to the concept of suicide. He saw suicide as the only really important philosophical problem. However, no matter how pessimistic Albert Camus was about the meaninglessness of life, he was equally optimistic about living. Albert is completely against suicide. He insists that people should continue living despite all this nonsense. Although suicide requires courage, Camus states that the real courage lies in continuing to live. Unfortunately, Camus's death was as absurd as his ideas. He was very afraid of cars. When asked what a strange way to die would be, he said, "Dying in a car accident." And he lost his life in a car accident. Even more absurd is that a train ticket was found on Camus's body at the scene of the car accident. It later became clear that Camus had decided not to take the train at the last minute and had chosen to go by car instead. Albert Camus was that kind of philosopher. He was an absurd but original character, just like his ideas. He was not only a philosopher, but also an artist. While thinking with his brain, he did not forget to take his heart along. This conversation suffices to understand Camus's perspective.
Et de la communauté à laquelle il ne peut s'arracher. C'est pourquoi les vrais artistes ne méprisent rien. Ils s'obligent à comprendre au lieu de juger.